Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're feeling good and having a fantastic one. Today we are listening to the band James. Quite simple, straight to the point, and we're going to listen to this track off of their album Laid, their fifth studio album released in 1993. That track will be Sometimes that we're checking out here. We're listening to this because it was recommended and sponsored by Paul. Thank you so much, Paul, for the recommendation. I appreciate the support as well. I've never heard of James. Do I know any James? Not recently. No, I had a friend named James growing up. I slept over at his house once. We watched Indiana Jones, and the movie scared me. I was way too young. Like, it scared me. Which scene was it? I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Temple of Doom where isn't it pulling the heart out the guy? Yeah, I saw that and I got scared. And then James got sick, and he was sick in the bathroom for the rest of the night. And then I woke up and went home. I didn't even eat breakfast, unfortunately. So, anyways, let's go ahead and listen to this track. I've never heard of the band, but we're about to discover them right now. Sometimes. Here you go. I like that bass melody underneath the strumming.
There's a storm outside, and the gap between crack and thunder is closing in, is closing in. The rain floods gutters and makes a great sound on concrete. On a flat roof, there's a boy leaning against a wall of rain, aerial held high, calling, come on thunder, come on thunder.
Kind of reminds me of the Water Boys a little bit.
Sometimes when I look deep in your eyes, I swear I can see your soul. Sometimes when I look deep in your eyes, I swear I can see your soul.
Really, really fantastic singing.
It's a monsoon, and the rain lifts lids of cars, spinning buses like toys, stripping them to chrome. Across the bay, the waves are turning into something else, picking up fishing boats and spewing them on the shore. The boys hit, lit up against the sky, like a sign, like a neon sign.
Little Smiths, too.
And then he crumples, drops into the gutter, cut string, legs twitching. A flood swells his clothes, delivers him on, delivers him on. Sometimes when I look deep in your eyes, I swear I can see your soul.
It's like a second guitar hit the end of that verse.
Sometimes when I look deep in your eyes, I swear I can see your soul.
Hear it?
There's 4 new colors on the rainbow. An old man's taking Polaroid, but all he captures is endless rain. Endless rain, endless rain. He says, listen, takes my head, puts my ear to his, and I swear I can hear the sea.
It's a powerful crowd. Wonderfully mixed in there.
Touch your soul. I can hear your soul.
like a nice wave of voices that comes through. And guitar keeps getting more intense as it goes. They're flicking their wrist. I really liked that. I liked that a lot. Stylistically, reminding me a little bit of Waterboys and a little bit of the Smiths in here. Tim Booth is going to be the lead vocalist. I like his voice a lot. There's something very clean about it, slightly folky. He has a certain kind of clean power behind the way he sings as well. The way he maneuvers around the notes, I think, is wonderful. The way he brings it down to a more realistic, almost kind of like just natural speaking voice in certain ways is really nice as well. Especially as the story progresses into the second verse and this the titular boy is being talked about, and he's in the middle of this hurricane, this monsoon that's happening, and evidently something hits him and he dies. And there's a sadness that comes in Booth's voice at that moment. And like I said, it comes from that emphatic singing voice that we're hearing and comes down into something more naturally speaking, a little bit of morbid kind of creeping into his voice, a little bit of sadness creeping into his voice. And I just really, really like his singing as well. And you couldn't, if you watch the video, if you saw my face, I always have the musicians lined up so I can see who's playing what, so I can kind of put names to instruments. You have Mark Hunter playing keys in the band, but you have additional bass, additional keys, additional vocals. Brian Eno. I got to find out how he got involved. But I would not be surprised if Eno's contributions are kind of those weird synth, keyboard, whatever lines that are kind of happening in the midst and kind of in the background of some of the music there, which I love that. I think that is a wonderful sound. It kind of brings a little spark of not pure dissonance, but maybe distilled. Because it's not like it's completely off with the music, but it does add a little bit of an oddity, a little bit of an eccentric kind of sound to it. And also the guitar, 2 guitars. Saul Davies and Larry Gott. You clearly hear, one guitar strumming from the very beginning. Strums, jangly, fast, slightly aggressive. As the song goes on, I notice at least, that second guitar starts to come in and at certain points kind of plays a little bit of the off time. Like not even perfectly in between the notes of the riff, but kind of off. Like, I don't know, I couldn't describe it, but if one's playing in 4s, maybe the other's playing in 3. And on the 12, they line up. Like something like that. So it was really interesting how they performed, especially in lieu of the lyrics. The intensity was brought up in this storm, in this story, and the intensity was brought up in the guitar playing. I thought that was a really, really nice way of doing that. And then drums from David Bainton Power. I like the little bit of power he brings, especially in some of those quick fills as he's just keeping up with those guitars. But I got to tell you, I thought that was a really fantastic song. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed Booth's voice in here. I keep talking about him. There's a storm outside, and I see this up here. The song is called Sometimes, and it has the subtitle of, or the parenthetical of Lester Piggot. We'll look at that because it says something there. I haven't read it. There's a storm outside, and the gap between crack and thunder is closing in. The storm is getting closer, right? They always say, if you hear the, what was it first? You see the lightning, and then you count the seconds, and then you hear the thunder. And the closer together those are, the closer the storm is actually to you. So the storm is closing in here. The rain floods gutters and makes a great sound on concrete. It's a heavy rain. On a flat roof, there's a boy leaning against a wall of rain. Ariel held high, calling, come on, thunder, almost challenging the storm. Sometimes when I look deep in your eyes, I swear I can see your soul. It's a monsoon, and the rain lifts lids off cars, spinning buses like toys, stripping them to chrome across the bay. The waves are turning into something else, picking up fishing boats, spewing them on shore. The boy is hit, lit up against the sky like a sign, like a neon sign, and he crumples, drops into the gutter, cuts strange, legs twitching. The flood swells his clothes, and delivers him on. So now, of course, as we mentioned, he is done. There's 4 new colors in the rainbow. An old man's taking Polaroids, but all he captures is endless rain. Endless rain. He says, listen, takes my head, puts my ear to his, and I swear I can hear the sea. This is where it gets a little abstract, right? Were the 4 new colors added because a sacrifice was made? Or were 4 new colors added because the storm was so intense and bad that, this is what comes after. This man's taking Polaroids, but he can't capture the rainbow. He only captures the rain. He says, listen, and like a seashell takes my ear to his, and he can hear the sea. So if all he can hear is the sea inside this old man's head, is that why this man can only see endless rain? I don't know. There's something about that. And then these powerful vocals from either the rest of the band or whoever else is singing, that nice crowd vocal in the chant comes in, which is really, really nice. It almost gives it, like I said, a strong folk feel, but it doesn't have the swing of what I'm going to say, but it does kind of have a sea shanty kind of community sound in the way that it's sung. And of course, the lyrics repeat, sometimes I look in your eyes and see your soul. This verse is what gets me. There's something happening here. Let's click on the annotation. Sometimes was the first single released from the album, featuring fast-paced acoustic strumming. The Lester Piggot part of the song style is inspired by the jockey of the same name, which Booth said was because it has a racing beat. According to an interview during recording, Eno went white and sat down as Booth sang, later stating he had just experienced one of the highlights of his musical life. Now, isn't that a credit? Isn't that such a fantastic thing to say? And I'm sure that Booth was like just over the moon hearing that. Now let's see if we can find some information on this track. Okay, it's this lead single, as we mentioned, bolstered by the song's success, the band toured the U.S. as part of WOMAD. Let's see, sometimes and late both charted. Any more information we can find on here? Okay. Eno listened to the tapes while on holiday with his wife. Hold on, let's read a little more. James wanted to work with Brian Eno since their debut album. Vocalist Tim Booth said Eno was a bit busy and he'd call back in a couple of years. But he did. The band sent Eno a letter and 6 hours worth of rehearsal tapes. Eno listened to the tapes while on holiday after his wife said she was a fan of James. He became interested in the band after hearing a rough version of this track. In '92, he telephoned the band saying he liked their music and went on to the UK to work with them. They visited the band at their practice space to witness their productivity over 3 to 4 days. Eno made recordings of the rehearsals to assess the quality of the songwriting. He was taking notes just to see if they passed the Eno test. Recording for the album began in 1993. I want to read more about Eno. This is just capitalizing. Okay, Eno was limited in his availability to 4 days a week. He arrived at the studio 2 hours earlier than everyone else so he could listen to the rehearsal tapes. That's a man dedicated to his craft. From the hours of recordings, Eno picked out potential ideas he wanted expanded into fully produced songs. Booth said some of the ideas lasted as little as 20 seconds, and that Skin Diving and Dream Thrum grew from these ideas. Booth said Eno felt the band completely neglected the songs Dream Thrum, Laid, and 5-0. Fenner handled most of the recording. He and Eno were assisted by engineer Ben Jude. One day when Eno was not in the studio, guitarist Larry Gott took on his role, and the band recorded one of the 3, which Eno did not like. Eno said, nope, that's outside of what I was doing. Gott said Eno had tapes continuously recording during the process in case they came up with an idea they liked. That is really cool. I think that is so fantastic for him to be so involved like that. Sometimes it's the most rock-centric track on the album. We already read about this. I'm just scanning really quick to see if there's anything else of note or of interest. Not for our purposes. That was a really fantastic track. That was a really great listen. Paul, thank you for the exposure. Thank you for the recommendation as well. That's why I love this. Like the different artists and things that we're exposed to. I speak for myself. Is always like it's just exciting for me. It's fun going on this adventure. So thank you guys so much for the recommendation, Paul. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a wonderful one, and I will see you all later. Bye, guys.